So at time of recording, about a week ago, I was in New York City with my wife. We were there for basically to celebrate her birthday. And one of her favorite things is a Broadway show. So while we were up there, we caught a couple of Broadway shows. And I'm going to talk a little bit about them at first, and then just some other little quick things. So what we saw first, we went to see "Oh Mary," and that was with Maya Rudolph was in it. It has a revolving lead since the original creator left, and Maya Rudolph was doing a current run. We managed to get tickets at a relatively reasonable price. It apparently is quite the pricey show at this time. And yeah, let me see if I can bring up this without getting too much glare on it. Here's some of the initial credits for the presentation that we saw. So, Oh Mary was kind of a trip. It's very reminiscent of old screwball comedies. So, in some ways, it's similar to particularly pre-code comedies. You know, I don't want to necessarily oversell it, but your Ernst Lubitsch, that sort of thing. It's very fast-paced. There's not even an intermission, and it's over in 90 minutes. It's got a lot of laughs. It's very subversive, not the word I'm looking for, nor sacrilegious, and I can never remember exactly the word I'm looking for. But it's profane. We'll say it's sort of profane, but in a very enjoyable way. And my wife got a magnet. That's one of the things that she often will pick up for a play. So we saw "Oh Mary," and I had fun with it. I had really very little expectation. The general gist of it, very general gist of it, is it is about Mary Todd Lincoln in the days leading up, days leading up to the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, but written with like no research done, and really it's about other stuff. The trappings of history are just that, and it takes, we'll say, it takes some liberties, and but it was fun. Then the following night, we only did two, as much as my wife wanted to go see another play, but we only ended up doing two. We saw Ragtime. Now, Ragtime we've seen before. I'm just going to check on the glare on this one. It's not too bad. Ragtime we've seen before. We saw at the Lincoln Theater. No, we saw this at the Lincoln. Is that right? Lincoln Center in New York. See if these show up. I don't know if I feel like the print is so small. But we saw it at Ford's Theater in D.C. It was one of the early plays that we ever went to go see together. And it's very good. You know, Lincoln Center Theater. There we are. At the Vivian Beaumont. Oh, right. This was at the Lyceum Theater. So, Ragtime, it's a heck of a story, you know, based on it's Doctorow? I can never remember. Anytime I think of Doctorow, I'm thinking of Cory Doctorow. I never remember the fairly famous author who wrote the original book. And of course, I cannot. E.L. Doctorow. E.L. Doctorow. There we are. I never remember the initials, I guess. But the novel, which was apparently quite the massive tome, I have never read it. And but the musical is certainly a sprawling kind of epic of early 20th century America, specifically early 20th century New York, and the sort of interplay of wealth and poverty and the immigrant experience, the labor movement, the African American experience, and all set against cultural changes and music, and specifically the music of ragtime. And we got a magnet for that as well, which is the statue. I don't know if this is going to show up either, but the Liberty torch with a whole bunch of hands holding it up. I can use words. Now, I have this sort of as a placeholder. Instead of going to another musical while we were there, during the day on our second day in town, we went to the, I'll never get it right. I think it's the museum. It's either the Museum of the City or it's the Museum of New York City or something like that. But it's kind of up a little bit around I think the middle or upper part of Central Park. I got my bearings a little twisted at one point, so I'm not great with my New York geography. I don't know. I've been there a dozen times, and I'm getting better, but I'm still not great. Anyway, we went there, and it was very nice. It was a nice museum, and I think it had the short film documentary thing with Stanley Tucci, and that was very very. It's fine. It was fine. Kind of blowing some smoke up some people's butts, and certainly did not. I don't think do the villainy of Robert Moses justice. But anyhow, it was cool seeing that and seeing the museum, and I think seeing ragtime in particular, plus just being in New York, really reminds me. And this is sort of what I want to talk a little bit about. It's like, one, I think how amazing cities are, and I really do think that cities are amazing drivers of culture and humanity and ideas. The coming together of large numbers of very different people into this sort of stew pot of creativity, and it's just, I think, phenomenal. But also it is a reminder, and I mean, New York is in some ways almost a microcosm of the country, or it is the country distilled into a pure form. It is chaos. It is loud. It is kind of beautiful, and it's just so many different people, and the sort of immigrant experience is so core to so much of that. And I think about how important the waves of immigration over the the the, the centuries really. And I mean, that's not in any way to diminish the people who were here before Europeans started coming in and others. But the waves of immigration that have helped to build what we are and who we are, and how sort of the growing pains that have come along with that, but the beautiful things that have come from it. And and I think about art, I think about culture, I think about science, I think about all that sort of thing. And I'm somebody, I travel on my stomach, so I think about food. And it's one of the things that, even though I'll say, like, I am not the biggest fan. I'll sometimes say, like, I'm not a big fan of Italian food. And what I'm really saying when I say that is I'm not a big fan of American Italian food, which is really, generally speaking, in a loose sense, it's Sicilian food translated through New York City and New Jersey, and then distributed out to the rest of the country, and synthesized with like American tastes and everything. And so I always also say I can find something at any restaurant that I will enjoy, but I, generally speaking, don't seek out Italian food typically in the U.S. But now, having been to Italy and having gone through food in Venice, food in Rome, food in Florence, and understanding, and I haven't been to the south of Italy, but understanding how even just those three areas of the country have such different cuisine, and I absolutely adore Tuscan food. Absolutely adore it. I like a lot of Venetian food as well. Roman food is good. I had some fantastic pizza that I never would have thought that I would have liked in Rome because it had potatoes on it, which I thought was an abomination. But I'll tell you what, it worked way better than I thought it would. But Tuscan food is really, for me, where it's at. And Tuscan food is that kind of, it's that hearty, I hate to use the word rustic, especially because it was in an urban setting, but it is that sort of salt of the earth. It's root vegetables and meat and stew and and a glass of wine and that kind of thing, and it's phenomenal. But anyhow, again, I travel on my stomach, and that's one of the things that I love about New York. I love visiting New York. I love trying new restaurants. I love seeing new parts of the town. I have now been to all the boroughs except for Staten Island. Haven't done Staten Island yet. I haven't spent much time in Brooklyn or Queens. Done more in the Bronx. This is actually our second time staying in the Bronx. A lot of times we've stayed down in and a couple times in Midtown, but a lot of times we stayed down in I don't remember if it's the financial district or whatever. It's down by Wall Street because we found hotels down there can be much less expensive at different times, but this time they were not. So we ended up at a hotel that we'd stayed at in the Bronx before, and it's a nice, clean hotel. It's easy, it's only a block away, not even a block away from a subway station, and and a subway station that took us straight down where we needed to go. So it was great. So I enjoy going. I enjoy visiting. We were only there this was an extremely brief trip, packed pretty tight, but I hope to get back again sooner than later. I know we try to go up about once a year. Sometimes we make it a second time, but we try to do about once a year, usually around her birthday, because we're going to go see some plays. But the last time, what was it? We came up in November of last year because I got in my head that I wanted to do the walk from the top of Manhattan to the bottom of Manhattan, and the actual top over across the river. Is it Marble Hill? I think from the top of Marble Hill down to the Battery, and so we did that in November, and that was pretty cool. So anyhow, I love New York City. I love cities. I'm born in a small town, and didn't think that was going to be a thing that I would find myself enjoying so much in my older years. But boy, I tell you what, I never want to go back. Love living in the city. So also in DC, I mean DC, I talk about this, but about New York, but DC also has a great theater scene. We just saw 1776 a few weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, and great presentation of that. That was at Ford's Theater again, and I think we're going to see something else coming up. Pippin. We're going to see Pippin, which is not, sadly, apparently, the Scottie Pippen story as a musical. But until next time, I will just leave you with, hey, cities are groovy. And boy, I love the subway. It's fantastic. I mean, I love the metro in DC, but the subway is just, it's more useful. It gets you more places and runs all the time. And, it's not always as comfortable. I'll give you that. A lot more stairs, and stairs in any direction are a nightmare. Thank you, Richard Kind. Very true. But it's pretty great. So, anyhow, until next time, take care.